here because we share little gold nuggets every time we're here, something that will change not only your life, but the ones around you that you impact. And that's really, in my book, the most important thing you can do. We're all here to help and support each other. So there you go. What do you think about that? What do you have to say? Come on, drop a comment in the comment section and let me know what you have to share that would brighten up somebody's day and change a life. I've been reading a book called the Before Happiness, but by Shawn Achor, Achor, and fantastic guy, fantastic book, lots of amazing insights, and I'm so happy to have started reading that. And I'm going to talk about a bunch of examples from that book today. And I'm glad you're here because there's a lot to share because I care. And I hope you do as well. So we're waiting for some people to join in here. I'm just starting out with these calls. So we're building the momentum slowly, but these will also be calls that people go back again and listen to, hopefully, and maybe watch and maybe leave in some comments in the comment section. I would love for you to be one of them as well. And I got my little pen and paper ready here so I can, oh yeah, it doesn't show up and I have this invisible background. This is like the invisible pen. Now you can see it. Now you can't. Now you can. So anyway, I'm glad you're here. So have a pen ready and get ready to rock and roll. I will also put my audio recorder on because I do want to have this audio recorded as well, even though I have the Fathom recording for me as well. So there we go. I have the CC or the copy, not the copyright, but it puts the text down below. So that's important as well. So now we got Boban coming in here, my favorite friend Boban. Let's see, he's right on time actually. Wow, there you go. Hey Boban, how are you? I can see, yeah, there he is, the man in the house. You got Christmas decorations going on your end. I can see in the back, right? There's no audio on you. Oh wait, did I mute you? No, you're muted. You're muted. There you go. Yeah. How are you today, Boban?
Very well. You have big hugs from Theodora. She went to a show. She's doing show in local theater.
Oh, okay. Great. Yeah, so it's you and me here so far, and my Fathom taker. Can you see the Fathom in the window as well? That he's one of the participants. It's called Alf Markussen is recording this call for note-taking purposes. Do you see that, Baba? It's called the Fathom.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just curious if you could see it. I got my little fireplace going here. How do you like it? So today, I'm going to wait a little bit, but I'm going to talk a little bit about different things that we are coming across in our daily lives to some tricks that many people are not aware of, Boban. So I'm going to share from a book that I've been reading called Before Happiness. And it's a really good book by a guy that went to Harvard. So I would like to ask you other things, but we won't do it on this call. So we'll have to catch up on our personal things here in 𝙈𝙤 at another time outside the call. Yeah. So, and I was emailing a bunch of people and messaging them. So we'll see. We'll give them another 3-4 minutes, Boban. And there's a guy from India, actually, that's going to show up. His name is Kushal. You may have heard me talk about him before. Yeah, he's going to come today. He's the one that helped me with the tarps and everything. So and I'm going to be seeing him in a little over a week. He's in Chembur, which is part of Mumbai. Yeah. So we'll see if he should show up. So, but I don't know exactly at what time, but we'll see. Them Indian people, you know.
Is your background virtual?
It's digital, virtual. Yeah, virtual. I wish you could kind of see that it's kind of, you see the trees and the snow. It's too picture perfect, right?
Yeah.
But it's pretty nice, right?
Yeah, it looks real. I thought
you're
in a cabin or something.
New cabin. So if I hold a pen here now, but it's invisible until I move it in front of me.
Yeah.
You don't see it? Now you see it. Magic. So anyway, Boban, I liked your comment the other day, and I took it to heart. I'm creating a course now. You told me one thing that I really appreciated. You said, I like the way you teach because you go right to the point. You don't mess around with all
and,
this other fluff.
and fast enough. You're not speaking like me very slowly to catch other people, to make them to listen, to hear every word. You say all the words that it's necessary, not over.
Yeah.
And that's your way that you make them listen very carefully, because they know all the words has sense and they are on right place, and it's fast.
Yeah.
We are losing time with lot of other teachers, courses, etc.
Yeah. I think sometimes when I write, I get way too lengthy, but when I speak, I'm more to the point. But I'm definitely not a trained speaker or anything like that yet. But I'm practicing, So practice makes perfect. So, and that's one of the things before you came here. I did a little intro. I said I'm not sure how good I am at conveying the messages and stuff like that, but I'm doing my best. And the only way to get better is to practice. So there you go. Yeah.
Many times, for example, when I bought course for guitar, I had to play it all in 1.5 speed.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
Because they speak so slowly, you must wait from.
Because you can listen way faster than you can read and see things. And when your mind then gets a slow moment, you don't pay attention. So you're totally correct with what you're saying. It's absolutely, yeah. And that's one of the things I'll talk about. I will be talking about that today too, how we learn things and how we take things up, because we also have busy minds. So one of the things, with me, I've stopped watching news since November 2021, over 2 years now. No news at all. I turn the radio off in the car and it goes like, oh, here's the news. I go, turn it off. Because it creates noise in our mind, and you want to focus on the things that you are working on. So if you have any questions today too, Boban, write them down and then stop me when you need to ask, So I was hoping Kushal would be here by now, because I wanted to start talking. It's already 6 minutes after now. We can certainly edit this when we go back later. But I want you to also have some value of this too, Boban, because I want to share some pretty cool stuff, actually. Okay. Shall we start?
We can wait a bit for him.
Okay.
If you think he's coming.
Yeah. I tell you what, I will try to WhatsApp him now. Where are you? We are live. So I WhatsApp him right now. Let's see if he comes. So, okay. So is Anna back from work already, Boban, or is she at work still?
She's still at work. She'll come 6:30.
Oh, 6:30?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, so today, just to kind of give you a recap, or like a little scenario, what we're going to touch on, we're going to talk about what I mean about noise, how we should stop having all this other noise. And that's not only news, it's what's going on in your mind too, things we think about. Why do we allow these thoughts to get in our way? It's so important.
I don't listen news since I had my own radio, TV, and I stopped completely. But still, and we never turn on TV here, etc. But I still have a lot of noise in my head.
Of course, that's the worst noise. That's the worst noise, and I have that too. Constant thing of, what about this? Or you're not this? Or what do they think about that? What is that person going to think? What do they think when they see it on Facebook? Do they think this meeting is all crap? There'll be people like that. It was one person in my group. I'm not going to mention her name. But her sister and her mother started seeing some personal things she wrote about her growing up. And they're going, what are you talking about? This is just something you're making up to create a sensation for yourself on the news. She has a podcast. and she was bombarded by her mom and her sister. That gets personal, and she shared something very personal about her upbringing, and they completely was against it. So there'll be people that say crap about me too. Who does he think he is? You know what? That's okay. That's not my problem. But it's easy to say it as a matter of and taking it in. When people start giving you crap, it's easy to start doubting yourself, So it is one of those things. So that's a little bit what I'm going to talk about, and how you engage. So how we all have that chatter. Oh, excuse me. Oh, water. Now you don't see it? Or you do, maybe?
No.
Now you see it.
Half of bottle.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh, boy. Probably looks really funny. Let's see. Okay. So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about something, the 10-5 rule that the Ritz-Carlton started talking about. The Ritz-Carlton is known for the best service with hotels and stuff like that. And they created a really interesting 10-5 rule and I'll explain what they did at the hotel, but how other people like hospitals started incorporating that, and how you can incorporate that in your own life, and how it makes a dramatic change. So I'll talk about that. And how you can create that culture for yourself and your own mastermind group. So that's why it's so important. I'm not just talking about things that are interesting. I'm talking about things that we can implement in our mastermind group, because this is all about how we can make our mastermind group more powerful, more potent, So that's what we're going to talk about. And personalities, and distinct and unique, and how our brains are highly interconnected, which is very, very interesting, because it falls right into the principles of the mastermind. So when two people get together to think about and work on something, you create a third invisible intelligence. And they refer to it as mirror neurons. And that comes to another saying too. You are the average of the 5 closest friends you spend, or closest people, or the 5 people you spend the most time with. You are the average of that. So when you are putting yourself in a situation where you surround yourself with smart, helpful, kind people, and that's where you're going to become the average of. So that's why it's so important to pick the right members and be around the right people that are positive and that are helpful, that are kind, that has your best interest at their forefront, So I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. So but mirror neurons, in this book, he talks about this too. Very interesting, how they did studies on it, and I'll share some of it with you as well. I know there's a way to share screen. Let's see here now. Present. Oh, okay, here we go. I'm not going to do that now, but I just need to figure out how I share my screen. Kushal is still not here. Boban, I tell you what. Hold on. Did he send a message? No, he didn't, because I turned off the sound. Okay, Boban, should we just start? You and I will talk. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so I have some talking points. So basically, we are going to have to manage the noise that we are struggling with every day. Like I talked to you first, I've turned off news for over 2 years now. I work on my positive self-talk. I work on how do I not get influenced by other people that are negative and saying, oh, that's not possible. Oh, you can't do that. Like I'm reading a book now with Tony Robbins as well. It's called, oh God, what's it called? I think it's called Life. Oh yeah, it's called Life Force. Life Force. And it's all about health. Okay, so one thing Tony Robbins does, when he goes after something, he finds the best people in the world. And Tony Robbins is that personality. He has the ability to do it too, right? He wrote a book about money. He went to all the money investors to find out the best principles, how to do money. Now he spent many years on studying how to do health. And he talks about how, now I kind of lost my thought. So he involves himself with people that are powerful and very, very successful and knows their stuff. So, God, what did I say first, Boban? Now I lost my train of thought.
No, you started to speak about Tony Robbins' book.
Yeah.
And first was rule 10-5
Yeah.
and your average of 5.
Yes. Oh, it's the average of 5 people. So he starts talking about all these things that you can do for yourself and become successful when it comes to your health. And he pulled in the best people around him to pull on that. And that's exactly what this book is about too. You need to enroll the right people in your life, in your business life, in your personal life. All of these things are really, really key. Okay, I'm reading some notes at the same time, Boban, so I apologize for that. And so let's see, give attention. Okay, so when we get rid of the noise that are in our lives, we want to put attention on our what we want to achieve, our dreams, our goals, the things that matters the most to you. It's your family, it's your self happiness, it's your health, it's your friends that are around you, your family. All of these things are probably on high priority for people like you and me, Baba. How are we going to be happy? How are we going to be successful? How are we going to manage our life? How are we going to avoid these problems that show up in our life sometimes? And you know what I'm talking about. Personally, I'm not sharing any of those things, but same with me. Things come into our life, and there are problems. I remember waking up this Monday at 2 o'clock in the morning, no, 2:57 to be exactly. I couldn't stop thinking about what I was thinking about, and I said, I'm getting up. I just got up and I started writing. I was sitting here writing till 6:57 in the morning. That's 4 hours later. And then I was like, okay, now I go to bed. And then I slept a few hours later, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. And that's not healthy. That is not healthy. So I learned also things that I cannot start thinking about things late in the evening because I take it with me into the dreams. So I needed to start, instead of doing that, I would read a book or read something to have positive noise in my head instead of negative. And it makes me wake up, start writing things down. And that's, that's what you want to manage. I'm struggling with these things that I'm sure other people are struggling with too, but there's techniques to avoid that. So let's touch on the 10-5 rule. So if you were to Google or look it up, the 10/5 rule by Ritz-Carlton is basically, it's part of their brand. And the saying, the 10-5 refers to this. If an employee at the Ritz-Carlton is 10 feet away from a guest, they have to smile and nod. If they're 5 feet away, they will smile, look in their eyes, and say hello. So the 10-5 rule. So everything they did with that. So they trained the whole personnel to do that with every guest at the hotel. And of course, if you have a complaint about the room or anything like that, they go above and beyond what they need to do. One example with the author, he said, he had got a room that smelled like somebody had been smoking in. So we called and complained about it. They upgraded his room to another room, gave him free dinner, free drinks, and they threw in on a massage at the same time. That's service, right? He'll never forget it. And he writes it in his book that millions of people read, just like I. Now I'm talking about it. Bad news travels 11 times faster than good news. That's interesting too, right? Because people are so wired about thinking things that are bad. And our million-year-old brain is also very much focused on danger. We are focused on what can go wrong. And that comes from way back when we had to defend ourselves against lions and monkeys and dinosaurs and all this stuff. We had to defend ourselves against those threats. And that still sticks with us. So we have like a kind of like an uphill battle unless you know how to do many of these things, to surround yourself and learn these things. That's why you constantly got to, I love reading stuff like that, the 10-5 rule and how all of this works. It's very, very powerful. Then the books talks about how a hospital started implementing the 10-5 rules. All the doctors and nurses, 10-5 rules. See a patient in the hallway or another coworker. Make eye contact, 10 feet away, smile. 5 feet close, make eye contact, say hello, and smile. That's what they did. And they started doing it with the patient. And the patient started doing that back to them. And now I don't have time to talk about the book, about all the things that happened, but basically The doctor got a closer relationship with the patients. The patients got a closer relationship with the doctors. They started following the advice the doctors would tell them to do. And guess what happened? They got more healthy, more happy, and everything started exploding for them on that, in that realm. So it's huge. The effects, it's a boomerang effect. You send it out and it comes back many folds to you. And he talks about that's how we should be when you're in a street, or if you're in a group. He says one of the exercises I read today is like, make sure you smile 3 times more, or 3 times a day. He said today, just to anyone, stranger, hi, nod your face. And I remember living in California, everyone says hi to each other. New York, very different. You have your sunglasses on and you don't make eye contact. That's friends that I have of mine that lives in New York. Very different, very, very different. California, very open. Anyway, so the 10-5 rule, really powerful. So you want to create a culture of that in your mastermind group. So I'm talking about all this stuff because it very much related to your mastermind group. So what we started doing just a couple of weeks ago, Baba, we went around the table, or when somebody actually had to speak, because we had 15 minutes to speak, start with something you're grateful for. So they would state that up front. And if they didn't remember, I said, hey, what are you grateful for? Say something you're grateful for. Oh, I'm grateful for my wife and my kids. Oh, I'm grateful that I have a house. Or I'm grateful to be in this mastermind group. Or I'm grateful for my health. And whatever it is, right? So stating that, now that changes something. Now, we'll get to that in a little bit in another example. But what do you do when you pick up the phone? And if it's a good friend who say, hey, how are you? Oh, today kind of had a long day. If you start your conversation with that, now you immediately push a negative energy, and then you get the other person to think about something negative. So when we start our mastermind, and I'll get into some of these examples later, you want to start with something that's positive, because we go around the table like, what are you working on? What are you struggling with? What do you need help with? What have you learned that you could share with the group? So decide for that first thing you want to talk about, not to be the one that you struggle with. Why not start with something that, hey, I have this good news today. We did this and this, and we increased our sales. So we had such and such happening. So you start with something positive. That changes the whole conversation and the energy you send out. Because again, we work in a physical, non-physical area as well, with the micro neurons that you heard me talk about earlier. So let me see. So I'm going to read something from the book here. So Magic Happens, I wrote. Our personalities may be distinct and unique, but our brains are highly interconnected. They are linked on a wireless mirror neuron network. Mirror neurons are those receptors in our brains that cause us to unconsciously mimic the actions of those around us. Okay? This is exactly what I've talked about earlier. When we see someone perform an action like a yawn or a smile, have you found yourself like a yawn? It makes you yawn too, right? If I yawn now, there could be a good chance somebody else watching this later on, they will yawn too, right? This was a real yawn, actually, by the way. So it mirrors the actions of those around us. That's the principle of you'll be average of the 5 people you're spending the most time with, right? And that relates to income, health, wealth, relationship, happiness, and all of that too, right? When we see someone perform an action like a yawn or a smile, our mirror neurons light up and signal to our bodies to perform that same motion. Okay, and that's from the Better Happiness, Before Happiness book that I'm reading by Sean Achor, A-C-H-O-R. And then it says, but mirror neurons are so key to positive inception because our thoughts and perceptions are what dictate our non-verbal actions. So when you non-verbally express excitement, for example, my mirror neurons pick up and imitate your expression of excitement. This, in turn, makes my brain think I'm experiencing the same excitement you are experiencing. This is amazing. Researcher 𝙎𝙤𝙗𝙣 at the University of Sussex wrote a great review on this research, showing that not only yawns and smiles are contagious, but also emotions like stress, anxiety, optimism, confidence, boredom, and engagement. Thanks to our mirror neuron network, in other words, we are hardwired for inception. So it's quite amazing, this study they're doing. So I'm not going to just sit here and read, Boban. I'd love to hear if you have any questions or feedback. Not that I'll be able to answer all the questions, but anything you're thinking.
I remember I began first conversation, and my first sentence was gratefulness for being here, because I really felt very, very grateful for being in a new group. For starting with this, I discovered this networking mastermind groups, etc. And I'm thinking all the time how to make all members, of course, everything is the most difficult of these main elements, to find perfect people, to gather them,
Right.
and how to make them come, especially in time.
Yeah.
On these meetings. And when man feels this gratitude and this happiness for being here, and think about how good is this and how helpful it would be for others, he feels pity, he feels sorry for they are not here, and how to make them here.
Right. How to make them come here. That's a great question you're asking. And that's the hardest question, I think, for anyone who wants to start a mastermind group. To me, it falls back on your why. Why do you want to be in a mastermind? Why is that so important for me? Because I have a burning desire, something I really want to do. So when you pick your focus in your mastermind group, you, Boban, I'm talking about you now, that person picks their focus. When they pick their focus, it needs to be something that really have a burning desire. Like, I am going to be successful at creating courses. There's no question about that. That's my burning desire. When we started Amazon, we're going to be successful at selling on Amazon. There's no question about that. 12 years later, we have been very successful, and we're still very successful. Now I'm starting up my courses. It takes a while, but I'm not going to give up. And my mastermind is there for me to help me. So to answer your question, how do you get the people to show up? They must have a burning desire like you, and they will show up for themselves. And then they will show up for the other people too, because you are going to be a damn important person for them, because they will not succeed without you. Like Oprah said, you can never succeed alone. You must be in cooperation with other people, period. So that's my answer. You got a question?
Yeah, I was very sorry last time. I felt bad. I had pressure with this police case, did this all this paper stuff about company arrangement and everything, and I've been with them, and I couldn't come last time Friday, and I felt very bad about it.
And that happens, and that's Kushal is joining us now any moment. But that happens sometimes, Boban. But I tell you what, we all have bad days. But you got to show up for yourself. You got to show up for yourself. And I know there are days that I can't make it either. But for myself, I'm going to show up. And if I can possibly help the others at some level, hold on, it's Kushal. I'm trying to admit him, and he has a problem getting in. But so yes, those days are going to be there.
Yeah.
Hey, Kushal.
Hey, Alf. How's it going?
Excellent. How are you? I got my good friend Boban here from Serbia, but also lives in Norway now.
Hey, man. How's it going?
Good. Can you see us?
Just a second.
Oh, you're on a bad network. Yeah, just to fix your network if you can. Anyways, yeah, so Boban, so that's where you, yes, I hear you. Now we are not in a mastermind per se, so I don't feel bad that you didn't come to the meeting. I wish you were here, obviously, but when you have a mastermind, you're committed to be there. Like we are committed to be there every Monday, and I dial in exactly at 6 o'clock because it's my puppy. I start the calls, I take the timing, and this is something I'll talk about here in a little bit. Another study this book did, fantastic information that it's sharing, and it relates exactly to how you can impact your life like this. And I won't spill the beans. I want to share it with you when I go through this thing here, because it's really powerful. It has to do with how you make things happen in your own life, and you can okay, now I'm starting to spill the beans. But I'm gonna get to that a little bit. Kushal, can you hear us? You're muted out still. Okay, he's still muted out. Okay, I tell you what, Boban, it's already half an hour into the call, and we're gonna continue. So whether he has a bad connection or not, we can always go back. So I read you that thing. So now we all remember, this is some other examples about how societies work. We all remember COVID, right? The whole world, CDC, is like, oh my God, it's the most dangerous thing we've seen in years. And when many people start believing that, guess what? It becomes true. It becomes reality. And you may not even be sick, but you will become sick because you believe it. And it's crazy. Hey, Kushal.
Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. But are you on a good connection now?
Yes, I am. I joined the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out a little bit. Anyway, so I'm sitting here talking with my very good friend Boban. You can see him, right?
I can hear you. Yes, I can see him.
Maybe it's better at you off video if you have a better connection then, huh?
Sure.
Yeah. So I'm not going to repeat everything we've been talking about, but we're talking about some principles of how people work in groups and how we can help each other, and how we become the average of the 5 closest people that we spend the most time with.
Yes, I've read that. I think it's very effective now that I'm again back in college. I see the kind of people that I'm surrounded with and the change that I have, developed over working in a corporate and going back to, say,
Yeah.
a college life. So
Yeah.
I think the kind of people they come with, the kind of knowledge that they come in with, I think it's a great experience. And
Yeah.
eventually you try, taking in the habits that you feel that you lack that these guys have.
Right.
And yeah, I think it makes you more not competitive, I would say, but also hardworking towards a lot of things that you were neglecting in the past.
Yeah, exactly. So Boban and I, we've been chatting for about half an hour, 25 minutes, and I went through some notes and some information that I feel is important for the mastermind group, because these calls are all about how can we develop the skills and take on the capabilities of running our own mastermind group. My goal for everyone that gets on these calls is for them to start their own mastermind group, whether it's focused on one subject for the whole group or individual subjects, doesn't matter. But my goal is that they be in a mastermind group. I'm sure you're in study groups when you're gonna when you go for your exams. And Kushal actually just went back to school, Boban. So he had a very good job in one of the biggest telco companies in India, and did very well there and moved up really fast. That's a whole other story, Kushal. We're not going to talk about that. But I actually shared the story with Boban, your story. And so now he went back to college for 2 years to get is it a master's you're going for, Kushal?
MBA done right now after 3 years of work experience.
Say again, please.
I'm doing my MBA, Master in Business Administration, after 3 years of work experience at Reliance Jio.
Yeah, perfect. So I'm sharing a bunch of notes here and copies that I've taken out of a book called the Before Happiness. It's by a Harvard grad, Sean Achor, Achor. I mentioned his name a couple of times. And the phenomenal information I'm picking up on, it's totally relatable to what we are doing in mastermind groups and how we are, creating 2 and 3 people get together. It's not 1 and 1 is not 2, it's 11, because it's not the sum of its parts, right? So one of the things I started talking with Bob on about just now when you joined is that when COVID came around, the whole world, oh my God, COVID, oh my God, this is going to be so bad, it's so dangerous. Well, one of the principles that this book talks about, the Before Happiness, is that when enough people starts believing in one thing, guess what? They create their own reality, for good and bad.
Okay.
And in this case, I think a lot of bad, because a lot of people said, oh yeah, COVID, oh my God, we're going to die, we're not going to be able to breathe. Guess what happened? A lot of people couldn't get oxygen, and I know you guys in India ran out of oxygen tanks and stuff like that too. But it's very interesting to see how that happened in history as far back as you can go. So here's an excerpt that I can, let's see if I can take this out, read this for you guys, okay, if you don't mind. History offers some dramatic examples of how we are programmed for social contagion. In 1962, in what was known as the June bug incident, 62 factory workers at a textile mill were bitten by an insect whose venom apparently caused terrible nausea, vomiting, and numbness of limbs. Many of the dressmakers were hospitalized. Yet after months of investigation, the Communicable Disease Center, CDC, found that the symptoms had been caused not by the venom of a mysterious insect, but by sheer communicable anxiety. As it turned out, the dressmakers had been bitten by mass hysteria. Quite interesting, huh? And I don't doubt it for a second that that's also what's been going on with COVID as well. And it certainly made it a lot worse. And it's too much of a conversation here, but I was one of those people that were very much against the taking a vaccination, because I believe vaccination can also have a lot of side effects. So I decided to just take the basic vaccination, but I'm not continuing doing that. So anyway, so any comments? Anyone?
I refuse.
You refuse. I take the fifth. Anyway, Kushal, you can still hear me.
No, I mean, I refused this vaccination.
Oh yeah, got it. Yeah, me too in the beginning. Kushal, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Good. So now I was telling Boban earlier here too, because we're talking about mastermind groups. Boban asked the questions. I wonder how I can get these people to show up. Why would they want to join my group? And we chatted a little bit about that. And then I read another very interesting chapter of the books too. Like, it's an interesting story about who usually becomes the leader of a group. And they did a study of that. And at UC Berkeley, over in San Francisco where I was, or the neighbor town, I should say, they had a they were putting 25 groups together, and there 4 people in each group. They were going to study for or have conversations about the GMAT preparation, which is what you prepare to go to get selected to get into to university. It's a very tough test. And then they videotaped all these different groups, the 25 groups, and they gave that videotape to somebody else. They weren't told if there was a designated leader in there or not or whatever. But one of the questions they were asked when they watched the video of the group and how they interacted, who do you think is a leader in this group? And they said everyone picked the one that spoke the first in the group. Very interesting. So just speaking up first they would guess that this was the leader, and they were given feedback. No, nobody in the group was given a role of being the leader. But the people that watched the video, they said, oh, this person. They picked the person that spoke the first. And it was not that. And usually the person that spoke the first was also not the smartest person in the group. Okay? That's also very interesting. So just start watching yourself. How are you in a group? Are you one of the first ones to say something, or do you wait for somebody else to say something, or are you kind of early in, or do you sit there and maybe don't take a role? And Kushal, you I don't know you that well on all these levels, right? But I could see that you'd be a person that take initiative pretty quick. I could be wrong, but
No,
you should go ahead.
I said that's true. Yeah,
Yes.
I think you know pretty well by now.
Yeah. I thought, but I could see that trait in you. So this is the okay. So let me read a little bit about what they said here now. So now instead, I start with something great that is okay. So now Boban and I also talked about how you can influence a group or influence your mind and other people's mind attitude of things. So you have a choice when you start speaking. Do you start talking about something that's negative and tough and hard, or do you start talking about something that's positive and as an opportunity and what have you? And you completely can switch the group's direction by the way you start what you talk about. It's not like earth-shattering news that this is the case, but being aware of it and doing it is another thing. Because if you come in with a negative mindset or bringing in your problems from your personal life or something that happened to you yesterday or something, then you will be inclined to do that. And this is why we also, Boban and I talked about that earlier, we want to knock out the noise level of all these things, the news and everything. As you know, I haven't watched news since November 2021. But like Boban and I also talked about, the chatter that goes on in your own brain about yourself and what's happening is even more destructive. So we need to manage our self-talk a lot. And that's why it's important to be around positive people and positive news and positive thinking, right? So let me continue reading here a little bit. I forget, I'm not sure exactly how it fits in here, but so let's see. So now, instead of starting with something that's great that is going on, why I'm excited about working with them on a project. It's amazing how people conform to the positive script when I do this. Likewise, when you're put into groups, if you want to set the tone or mood, make sure you get some of the first words in. Think about it. Which meeting would you prefer to attend? One that starts with, let's get going because we have so much to do today and a lot of fires to put out. Or when you want to be in a group that, I am happy to see you. I'm so happy to see you all here today. It is great that we have such a strong team working on these exciting new projects. Which one would you want to be a member of, right? It's pretty easy, right? So same reality, but very different outlook. Then sit back and watch how people's engagement and motivation improve in response to your power lead. They call it a power lead, okay? It is one of the most effective tools in this book. And this is, again, the Better Know Before Happiness. Comments? Anything?
I think, like you said, the second one turns out to be quite interesting because we don't know where the kind of mindset that people enter a meeting with. Maybe some backlog in their head, or they might have had some maybe a bad morning to their day, and they come to work. And when you talk to them like that, I think that just resets their mind, and they're more keen on forgetting what is going on till now, and maybe make a fresh start with work with an empty mind, and I think gives out better performance than somebody who's been being bombarded at since morning, and then again they have a meeting where the first thing they talk about is work, and not that the person who's hosting the meeting is talking about how happy he is to see them join the meeting, or take some time out for the meeting as well.
Perfect. Any comments from your end, Boban? No? Okay. No, it's good. So one of the things, I've been to UPW, Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins. One of the things that's 4 days, okay? One of the things he does, he teaches you a lot about how to get the best out of yourself, right? That's what it's all about, right? And he talks also about standing. So he says, if you can stand like this, now you probably can't see me full torso here, but you stand up on the floor, feet wide apart, wider than your shoulders, and you put your hands on your hip, and you stand like this, okay? And you standing like this for 30, 40 seconds before you're going to do something or make a phone call or even go on stage or something, it changes your energy completely. It's a transformation completely for me as well. When you do that, it's a power stance. And I think he refers to as something like that. So you can do something about these things. You can make that work for yourself once you know enough techniques for this. And this is not what I'm teaching at all, but it's important if you're going to lead a mastermind or start a mastermind, because there's no such as a thing as a leader in a mastermind. But if you're the one that makes the first call, makes the invitation to a person, guess what? You become the leader. I've become the leader in many of my masterminds because I took the initiative to start the group. So that goes back to what we we're just talking about, who speaks first and who takes action first, right? So anyway, this is all good. Now, here's another thing too that's interesting, and that has to do with mastermind groups as well. That's another topic now. Do you know that only 3% of people, when they buy a course, whether it's $100 or $10,000, they finish a course? Only 3%. Crazy numbers, right? Why is this important for me? Because I'm in a mastermind group and my focus is on creating courses, right? How do I make my courses better? Well, okay, there's some studies out there that if you can gamify, if you can make your course a game where they earn awards, points that maybe gives them special benefits, or what do you call it? Like a medallion, or like what do you call it? Like certificate, or what do you call it? Like I forget the English word on it now. Like a social status. I mean, let's say you're in a group and you have like a gold medal, you've earned so and so many gold points or whatever. You can see it online, right? So I forget what you call it now. Those things are huge when it comes to your ability to perform and complete the course. As a matter of fact, if you gamify your course or whatever it is that you're doing, it's now they finish by 30 to 40% as opposed to 3%. It's huge. Of course, would I want somebody to buy my course and not follow through on it and not do it? That would be a defeat for me. But because I want to help that person. But think about it. If they complete the course, how much more likely are they also to have an impact on other people, especially if they create a mastermind, but also they talk about the course, you know? But obviously, I want the course to make a difference in their lives. So then 30 to 40% better because you gamify it. So if somebody, let's say, Boban, you're in a profession where you're looking for customers for your project and everything. Maybe you say, hey, you place one order. If you order from me again, I'll give you an additional 10% off. Or if you refer me to somebody, I'll give you 10% of the fee that I charge to a client. Now there is an incentive. And if you refer me to 5 people, I'm going to do XYZ for you, because now you use referral marketing, but you gamify it. You create some kind of a call it a game for them to want to refer more people to you. So one of the things I'm going to do, if you get through to chapter 4 and answer all these questions, you get a one-on-one call with me. You can ask me one-on-one calls, whatever you want to do, how you start your mastermind. Those are the kind of things I can offer in the courses, you know. Or maybe, Boban, you come up with some way, like if you refer me 5 people, I will be able to do XYZ for you. Or let's say you have a deal with a company for some kind of a thing that you know that customer wants, you can get 25% off, something like that. You start making relations where you can give incentives to people. So gamifying your whatever it is you're selling, it doesn't necessarily have to be for courses by any means, but especially if you're in the service industry, if you're a hair salon owner, restaurant, you can have them earn points. Haven't you been to the hair salon where they stamp your thing? And once you have 10 stamps, you get 1 free haircut. Now, I mentioned this, I think, on another call. I'll mention it again. Do you know a nice trick I learned in this book too? Normally, you get a card where they put 10 stamps on, right? And then you get a free meal or free appetizer, right? What they figured out, they put 12 of these stamps that you needed to get. But when you first got the card, the owner of the store said, hey, since you're willing to do this, I'm going to give you free two stamps for free right now. So he goes, bam, bam. And then a third for the time you came in that time. So immediately they start off with 12 but now they knocked off 3 of them right away. They got 2 for free and the one that they came before. Guess what they found? The person that got the 12 stamps that needed to go through as opposed to the 10 that they still had to complete just as many, passed through those next remaining 10 much faster than the person that only got the 10 that didn't get a head start. Because basically that person that got the card with 12, they felt they got a head start. Pretty interesting, huh? So those are things we can incorporate into our businesses. So anyway, let's see here now. I have some stuff I could share with you, these gamified things, but I have notes and I could share these things with you earlier on, but I'd love to hear any comments on that or any of the things we talked about earlier. There's only 10 minutes left here now.
Yeah, gamifying is now very important and it helps a lot.
Yeah.
And especially you have courses and you should mark milestones and give them higher rank when they finish and on those milestones.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just bought a little software where we can create, we have our own little template and we can create little games. Knock down these 3 things here and boom. And people love playing games, you know, and they love to score points and earn things. And one of the studies in this book, actually, he tested this started with pigeons. The pigeons would have to tap a thing, then they would get food. Okay? And then he did it with rats. And they would go through the thing. And when they were full, they would go to sleep and go away. And then he said something very interesting. Then he tested it on his students. The students could go in online and complete certain tasks, and they would earn points. And he found out that the students broke into the lab at night to continue taking a test after we closed it off because they wanted to earn more points. So people were even, if not more, incentivized and motivated to do this than the animals, because the people say, hey, I want to earn more points. It's kind of nuts. But it's all kinds of studies like that we can totally apply to our own groups too, our own society, our own collective community. That makes a big difference. So yeah. Any other comments? Anything we haven't touched on? Anything that triggers another interesting point or anything like that? Kushal, for example, have you started any groups in school and stuff like that? That's interesting that you're benefiting from, or is it more study groups?
So currently we've got more of study groups, but I think recently something that we pulled off was a waste management conference, where corporates here in India are working towards sustainability. So they want to incorporate sustainability in the products that they use, the products that they're selling, carbon free or zero carbon kind of a concept.
Yeah.
So we set that up on campus, and we had a lot of German delegates coming in from Germany. We had some delegates from Bangladesh and other parts of the world who participated and shared their research on how they think that is possible in a particular environment, atmosphere, or for a particular organization with a niche product, or something that they've been already selling. They would want to maybe modify the product and sell it again. So I think when you talk about such like-minded groups or conferences that you create, you end up getting in touch with a lot of people who think the same way, the way you are thinking, and I think using that forward while you are working for a particular mission. Maybe it could be different for everybody, but I think the main goal is could be environment, or could be carbon free or no carbon footprint whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I think those are kind of connects and networks that are building here, and I think that is helping us understand what is actually required when you move out into a corporate, or how the world is going to look after a few years if these things are implemented well.
Yeah, perfect. Now, one thing, Boban, when I go to India, I know you've been to India too, Boban. And one of the things that I've noticed, how much plastic is by the roadside, plastic bottles, plastic this, plastic that. And in Norway, we recycle our food, we recycle metal cans, glass cans, plastic, paper. Okay, so we have 5 different garbage cans outside our house. Okay, now when I look at India, my God, could you imagine? You could create a lot of jobs too. What if you got people to collect the plastic bottles that have a redemption fee on it, and they take it to a center and get a redemption? Other plastic bottles that you don't get a redemption, you take it in, but you weigh them and you make money based on how much they weigh. Plastic cans, metal cans, all kinds of things. Starting a comprehensive recycling system that cover that area in India, I think is a huge opportunity, but it's something for the government, I would think. But I'm sure there is a business opportunity there too, Kushal. Have you guys ever thought of that?
So currently, if you look at the metro that's been going on, there are few stations that the government has set up where you bring your old plastic bottles. Once you put that in, so I think the minimum count is for 3 plastic bottles. So when you put in 3 plastic bottles, it gives out a discount coupon that you can use for
Nice.
at grocery store, or maybe
Yeah.
buying food online like Uber Eats or whatever. So I think that is going well right now. But I think moving forward, like you said, you'll have 5 different kind of dustbins outside your house. Here currently, where India is standing, we've just started with wet and dry segregation of waste. So I think that has been mandatory. But I think moving forward, then people will be educated enough to make sure that they put plastic, metal, paper all in different bins altogether. So I think with the kind of population that we have, it is quite difficult to actually maintain, collect, and also dump these kind of waste that comes out of the house. So these are small initiatives that people are, or the government is taking to make sure that people stop usage, or if they have it, they dump it at the right place.
Right, exactly. Need to be recycled, like batteries and stuff like that are hazardous for the environment. Anyway, I didn't mean it to be like a brainstorming session, but it's always fascinating to talk with you people and hear what you guys are thinking. I really appreciate it. Any last little words from anyone? Again, I really appreciate you showing up here, guys. I know we're a small group at this point, but I'm going to grow these calls, and I'm doing them every Friday. I'm going to do them every Friday from Mumbai as well. I'm there in a week and a half. So I'll be every Friday night. I'm busy, Kushal, at 8:30 to 9:30. So anyway, so Kushal just lives a few blocks away from where we stay, Bobon. So you can basically walk to each other. So I look forward to catching up again.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. Are you going to be back from school then, Kushal? Are you going to be back home?
Yes, I'll still be on campus, but weekends are usually off. So I think Friday, Saturday, Sundays are dedicated to you for the time you're here.
Yeah. So Bobon, you have any questions of Kushal by any chance? You should also get to know each other here. Bobon is a very interesting person too, Kushal.
Thanks. I found few different chances in garbage. What was the expression in English?
Recycling.
In recycling, in separating, and these things. For example, here the most important and the most powerful industrial and entrepreneur in 𝙈𝙤𝙗𝙗, this 𝙈𝙤𝙗𝙗𝙗.
Oh yeah, 𝙈𝙤𝙗𝙗𝙗.
Yeah. He started now a new company, Ren, about intelligent way of following garbage.
Oh yeah.
He makes marks, tags on every container. He's following them, GPS, etc. And made a very good deal with government, with winning company, garbage company, and he's very successful in this also now.
Oh, good. I didn't know that. So 𝙈𝙤𝙗𝙗, ABBAX, is it ABAX?
ABAX.
ABAX. It's a big company out of our small town, Kushal. It's got bought up by either Chinese or Saudi Arabian company. I mean, for billions. I mean, huge. I mean, it's the biggest company in 𝙈𝙤𝙗𝙗 by far.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and worldwide renowned too, believe it or not. So it's quite amazing that Now our little town did that. So yeah, that's good. So, and Bon has extensive experience in production in the clothing industry. He had a factory with 1,100 people, Kushal, in Serbia, and he
Oh,
moved to Norway 7-8 years ago with his wife and child. So they're settled right downtown Larvik, and we met in an entrepreneur group about 5 years ago, maybe 6, something like that. Yeah.
You didn't mention I moved here after being bankrupt in this big
Oh, yeah.
company.
We'll leave out those little details. But massive experience in a lot of things, Kushal. So it's a very interesting fellow to know as well. So
definitely. I hope to see him once, maybe whether it's in India or when I'm in Norway, for sure.
there we go. We're hoping for that. So Boban and I, we go fishing sometimes too, and go out in my little boat and throw the lines. But this year was really poor fishing for some reason. There's something's happening to the ocean. So anyway, guys, I really appreciate you getting on the call. It's 1 hour's coming up. I'm trying to stick to the times so that the calls stay on time. But it's very interesting to have you here. Too bad you missed some of the first part, Kushal, but really honored that you could make the latter half. And Boban, great speaking with you, and I appreciate you getting on the call as well and talking through some of the thoughts, and hopefully this is of help to some of you as well. So think about some of these things. When you have an opportunity to be in a group, you can automatically affect the group as direction, and you can also, by a virtue of your own awareness, become a leader of the group too, if you so choose, if you want to, if you feel so inclined. So there's a lot of nice little tips and tricks we can learn from these books. If you haven't, I know you're probably too busy to read other books, Kushal, but Boban and Kushal, you should keep it on your reading list. It's called Before Happiness by 𝙤𝙗𝙗𝙗. You will not regret reading the book. It's a life-altering book, I feel, and it's a fantastic book, and I've quoted a lot of his stuff here today. So you guys have a great rest of the Friday evening. And thank you, everyone, for watching the replay. And if you have any questions, drop it in the comment, and visit AhaMastery.com.
Thank you. Happy weekend. See you soon.
Happy Friday. Happy weekend, everyone. Take care. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Both.